Elevation of your spiritual or cosmic partnership. Shield the sacred convergence. Shielding of the sacred convergence calls you to actively guard, nurture, and elevate your spiritual or cosmic partnership against the draining forces of the physical world. It highlights that your connection is predestined and demands intentional action rather than passive reliance on luck. Your alignment with your counterpart is not a coincidence born of convenience or proximity. It is an intentional, cosmic arrangement designed for a higher purpose. Because this connection is woven into the fabric of your destiny, it cannot be broken by superficial conflicts, distance, or shifting physical environments. Apathy is a slow, quiet poison that erodes the sharp edges of purpose. You must actively fight against indifference, routine, and emotional coldness. Guarding the convergence means choosing to care intensely every single day. True decay begins when you stop choosing to see the magic in your shared alignment. The mortal world is filled with disruptive, chaotic frequencies, doubt, stress, external noise, and negative projections from others. Instead of allowing these outside pressures to fracture your bond, absorb them together. Use that friction as raw fuel to build a deeper, more resilient understanding. In physics, entropy dictates that all things naturally degrade over time. By consciously shielding your convergence, you create a spiritual sanctuary that resists this law. Your unified energy forms an impenetrable fortress. Inside it, your shared vision, love, and power remain timeless, untouched by the wear and tear of the material plane. Anchor flame to intent. Raw emotion acts as a volatile spark that burns through its fuel rapidly. While anger, passion, or pride can trigger immediate action, they are unsustainable foundation stones for long-term impact. Celestial vision represents a macro perspective. It looks past immediate personal validation to focus on systemic, long-term harmony. When individual energy aligns with this higher vision, it ceases to be an assertive tool used for personal compliance. It shifts into a magnetic, uplifting frequency. True power lies in expansion, not suppression. Dominance seeks to shrink others to make room for the ego, while evolution expands the space so everyone can rise. To move from volatile reaction to sustainable contribution, you must isolate the components of your internal state. Anchor flame is your baseline raw power. It is the deep, survival-driven, or passionate emotional intensity that naturally bubbles up during conflict or inspiration. Do not suppress this energy. Instead, ground it. Acknowledge its presence without letting it drive the vehicle. Intent is the conscious steering wheel. It actively captures the raw, kinetic energy of the anchor flame and filters it through a specific inquiry. How can this energy serve a purpose larger than my immediate comfort? The primary trap is the ego's addiction to winning. When challenged, human nature defaults to a zero-sum mindset. This manifests as a desire to dominate conversations, demand submission, or secure a personal victory at the expense of collective psychological safety. The solution requires an intentional shift from an internal ego focus to an external eco focus. Instead of asking how you can conquer the room, you pivot to analyze how you can catalyze growth, spark inspiration, or resolve systemic bottlenecks for the entire group. Exalt truth above mirage. Piercing the veil of illusion, the work of discernment is distinguishing eternal essence from temporary personality. Every soul possesses an immaculate, original template of perfection and purpose. Higher growth begins by acknowledging that you are essentially a soul, covered by an illusion created by ego, trauma, and societal conditioning. Human interactions are often clouded by fear-based projections, behavioral patterns, and roles. Viewing others through these, lower, lenses reinforces the illusion of separation. True connection occurs only when you interact with another's eternal essence, rather than the temporary flaws or personality. Look past current human behaviors to see the highest spiritual potential of those around you. Use divine discernment to sever energetic cords to negative, chaotic, or manipulative 3D structures. Harmonizing with universal law, the work of alignment is bringing personal energy into resonance with cosmic order. This represents the source of absolute truth, ultimate reality, and the highest vibrational dimensions of existence. It is the New Earth grid, which feeds unconditional love rather than fear. Personal growth cannot be chaotic. It must mirror the orderly, constructive laws of nature and cosmos. This involves shifting from doing to being, allowing the soul to guide the personality rather than the ego leading. Internalizing higher spiritual laws, such as karma, dharma, and resonance, so they automatically dictate your thoughts, choices, and daily actions. Actively anchor yourself amidst chaos by visualizing a brilliant beam of light from your heart to the core of the new earth. Dedicate your life to truth and integrity, leaving behind chaotic, low-vibrational habits. The necessity of sacred severance, the work of courage, releasing the old to allow the new to emerge. Ascension is a natural, upward evolution of consciousness toward higher states of being. As you ascend, you make the hole in the veil bigger, allowing your soul to become more manifest. Relationships, environments, or self-images built on false pretenses, codependency, or shallow earthly desires must be addressed. Holding on to these prevents the necessary recalibration of your life rhythms. The deep, warrior-like strength required to walk away from people, places, or habits that weigh you down. This is the courage to handle shortcomings, which allows for true inner transformation. Gently but firmly release connections that refuse to grow, understanding that not everyone is ready to make the climb. Practice saying, I sever all that does not serve my sovereign path and the highest good of all. Adopt the infinite perspective. A profound shift in consciousness, moving away from short-term satisfaction and toward a long-term spiritual existence, asks you to view your life through a cosmic, timeless lens rather than being consumed by daily struggles, which are interpreted as temporary. Recognizing yourself as an eternal consciousness rather than merely a physical body. This means remembering that you are an infinite expression of energy. It is a move away from seeing your life as a linear path, birth to death, and toward experiencing yourself as part of a transcendent and virtually timeless dimension. When confronted with challenges, ask, will this matter in 1,000 years? It encourages operating at the intersection of the infinite and finite, seeing the world with spiritual eyes rather than just material ones. Prioritizing long-term spiritual growth over immediate, temporary pleasures, instant gratification, material gain, or ego-driven validation. Fleeting stimuli are temporary, material desires, success, fame, or comforts that possess no eternal value. Eternal heritage is your spiritual purpose, soul evolution, and connection to the divine. Actively choose to invest your time, money, and focus on things that last. Love, wisdom, and service, over things that will fade. Viewing personal hardships as necessary, purposeful training that prepares you for a significant future, both in this life and beyond. The trials you experience are not random pain, but refining tools that shape your character and prepare you for your true calling. Convergence is a point where your inner, spiritual development aligns with your outer, physical actions, bringing spiritual gifts and, in some interpretations, unexpected divine work together. Embrace the wounded healer concept, using your personal suffering to create compassion, which helps others, thereby giving your pain meaning. Protecting your energetic state and consciousness from negativity and lowering your vibrational alignment. Frequency is your mental and emotional state, with high frequencies corresponding to love and compassion, and low frequencies representing fear or resentment. It also means being conscious of the company you keep and the information you consume. Establish spiritual boundaries, create a shield against negative environments, and use daily practices like meditation to maintain a high vibration. Staying true to your higher spiritual values, soul contracts, and divine purpose, even when it is difficult. This means honoring the agreements your soul made prior to this life, to grow, to help others, to learn specific lessons. It is an act of integrity to your highest self rather than submitting to the expectations of the world. Make decisions based on faithfulness to your internal spiritual compass rather than fear or social pressure. Merging your spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental selves into a unified whole. Instead of separating your spiritual life from your daily life, you live with total integration, where your actions in the mundane world are a direct reflection of your highest consciousness. This is the ultimate oneness. Stop trying to hide parts of yourself or separating your holy self from your work, normal self. Bring all aspects of your being into alignment.